Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Ektar solo cast. This time I'm bringing you under Newb Management versus ProBUs. Once again here in Division A. Ace is currently bowling, so he will probably not be joining. He has been known on occasion on one of these longer Wednesday series to hop in for a later game, but we'll see how that ends up working out. I don't know if you saw the start screen, but I have reformatted my computer, so all of my settings are different, so please let me know how the sound balance and other things like that are, and if I have any problems with the overlays or whatever as we're going through this cast. I figured, you know what, might as well make the first cast on the new PC a complete shit show all by myself, so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together, and we'll muddle our way through. Getting back into the actual, talking about the match and things, we had the coin toss won by ProBUs, who opted for first hero pick. Under Newb Management banned out Towers of Doom. ProBUs banned out Infernal Shrines. Under Newb Management banned out Brax's Holdout, specifically citing Muffin's Genji on that map. And I put Brax's Holdout for the other map, when actually it was Battlefield of Eternity getting banned out by ProBUs.
You, our new friend? Yay! I love you, friend!
What the heck, Hydra? Thank you for... I think that's actually the first multi-gift sub bomb I've ever gotten on this channel, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And Irby gifted... Oh, it's Irby gifting a bunch of subs. Thank you, Irby. I saw Hydra's name first. Really appreciate it. That's awesome.
Yay! I love you,
so many new friends in the chat. And as indicated, map number 1 is going to be Cursed Hollow again, as picked by Under Newb Management. They didn't actually say it in the chat.
Friend
it was
Brightwing happy now.
It was just Liddell went back, got into the Under Newb Management bunker, converted the teammates, and just dropped
You, our new friend? Yay!
lobby link without actually telling us what it was going to be ahead of time. But that's kind of... it doesn't really matter. But it looks like everybody is ready. We should be getting on into the draft in just a moment, as soon as you get that 6-second interrupt between hitting the start button and the draft actually starting. So because I picked up this cast all of 15 minutes ago, I didn't have a whole lot of time to do the scouting, and I have a terrible memory. Ace outed by gifts as not a sub. You know what? It's probably just a little bit of a... It's not a little bit of a lapse. Ace pretty much subs every time that it's available and I'm streaming. Unfortunately, again, for y'all, he is at bowling, so... Still really appreciate the gift subs, Irby. Alright, getting into the actual draft and stuff, we have Maiev getting banned out. That's another one of those scary muffin heroes, as well as on the other side we have Falstad, incredibly strong on the map, and the Junkrat getting banned out as well, and Vala, who has just been continuing to perform very well, even after this, I think, second nerf that she just got. I think it was a nerf to multi-shot and the Q quest. But you know what? Auto attack is still pretty good on Vala, so... Irby picking up the early Brightwing. Brightwing did just get nerfed in the most recent patch, reducing her health regen, and base healing on her trait. But still very powerful on this map for the global specifically. So maybe not quite as good, but even with that, she maybe drops from being a very strong healer all the time to a healer who's strong on these big maps that encourage you to pick up global heroes. On the other side, we have the ETC Tychus. Silver played a very good Tychus, I believe, in their series versus Platform, incurring several bans later in the series, and Liddell playing a very proficient ETC as well. ETC fallen a little bit out of the meta. This is definitely not, 2018, 2019, where the Cow and the Crusader were pretty much the only two viable tanks. Yeah, kind of, ETC, he's strong, but he's squishy, so you tend not to see him, although he did just get a little bit of a buff to some of his underutilized talents and as well as his trait, getting now 60 armor when he uses his heroics. We have TLV getting banned out, sorry Muffin, as well as the Dahaka. Once again, wipe out my team's offlaner, swears up and down that Dahaka is incredibly powerful, and I definitely get the value on a big map like this because of the global, but as far as just a hero, it feels like if you don't hit the Q, he's just kind of a big bundle of hit points, but sometimes that's all you need. Continuing for under new management, we have the Jaina and Lucio. Jaina, very strong follow-up for ETC because it's a big amount of crowd control that she can just put her abilities on. And the worst thing about Jaina is that her damage is, especially the Blizzard, it takes a long time for it to come out. So if you can keep someone locked down for a really long time, like an ETC can do, Jaina's really powerful. And Lucio, not gonna lie, don't 100% get the Lucio. Alan by default is obviously a very skilled healer player, but Lucio, he's fallen off a little bit since his several nerfs. A lot of wall ride opportunities on this map, but I think it's going to almost certainly be a beat drop to counter a Zero Tool Void Prison engage. You can start the beat drop and then go into the Void Prison, so it popped basically as soon as the Void Prison ends. As well as we have the very popular counter pick to Johanna, the best hero in the game. Is that Dahaka, Majesty? Best hero in the game at the moment? Yeah, with the Shield Breaker can really ruin Johanna's day. Ooh, predictions are a thing. I don't have a button for that yet. Let's see if I can add that quickly enough for it to be relevant. Poll, goals, host. There we go. Start a prediction button. Start prediction. Who wins game 1? ProBUs versus... I swear I'm normally very slightly more organized than this, but I'm going to continue to blame it on operating under the... it's not a new setup, it's the same computer, it's just I don't have any of the old settings. Definitely really strong right now. You know, I will have to see it at some point, and then maybe I believe it. Oh my goodness, please let me know if I still have Aliabs in. I did copy Aliabs. Thank God, this cast would be a fucking nightmare if I had to use the basic Blizzard overlay, no offense to you, Blizzard. Spawning on the left-hand side in the Cyan, we have under new management with Liddell playing the King of Stormwind. Alan by default is on Lucio. Sneaky Glades on Jaina. Silver on Tychus. And Plio playing the ETC. And on the right-hand side, in the orange trunks, they are ProBUs with 8-Bit playing Hakuna Johanna. Sage playing Hogchamp. We've got Muffin on Zeratul. Irby playing the Fight Wing. And John Bunyan on the Greyman. Both teams really look like they don't want to necessarily engage super hard in the mid lane. We do have stacking quests on 2 heroes for each team, but they're not too much in the way of team fight stacking quests. We've got globes, and then Lion's Maw, but, you know, very glorified lane minion already in the top lane, Zeratul already in the bottom lane, so really both teams not looking to do anything particularly fancy here at level 1. Although Johanna's already got 2 globes as compared to everybody else's 0, so very small advantage in favor of ProBUs. Really about the smallest advantage you can imagine. Lucio going into Accelerando and not going into Slip. It's a very slight disappointment by me, even if Slip is the, or Accelerando is the, no, not Slip, it's not up the tempo. Smooth Moves. Smooth Moves is the level 1 I like. But I understand Accelerando is a really good talent, giving you that extra movement speed. Can be very powerful for these kind of dart in and out engage team fights, especially on this map. We have both of the DPS on the side of ProBUs already on this Bruiser camp. Their opponents are taking the Siege camp. And here's what I really like about the Brave. You can just foist her off into the bottom lane. We've actually got the tank and the healer duking it out here, completely ineffectually plinking damage at each other, really just kind of existing in this lane to take the XP. On the other side, we have under Newb management taking their bruiser camp like their opponents had already done, and now we have ProBUs taking the siege camp like their opponents had done. So both teams making sure to get very quick priority on these camps, doing what they can to make sure that they have them going during the objective. So I wonder if they're going to delay picking this up the way that their opponents have delayed picking up that siege camp on the other side. Looks like that is not going to be the case, and Jaina is going to back, which means only silver here for the defense, which means this bottom tower is going to fall, but probably not a whole lot more than that. Ooh, actually not even going to fall. My computer is actually killing itself right now. That is why the game appears to be completely frozen. There we go. Hopefully it doesn't do that too many more times. Dahaka, best hero in the game. Dahaka's a beast. 8-bit on Jahan, then with better combo. Ogo on Medivh. Can't disagree with that one, Broom Boy. Seen it a few too many times to discount that particular combo. 8-bit coming in for a bit of an aggressive rotation. There's 4 people up here, so it's a little monka-esque for him to be standing there. He's going to get engaged on, taunted actually, so going for the extra CC, not the extra damage, and 8-bit is going to be the first to fall here. We can only hope that Irby will not be joining him in the Hall of Storms, as they are able to get out. But that is going to be a very first objective pickup in favor of under Newb management with, frankly, an uncharacteristically sloppy play coming out of 8-bit. Okay, we have Muffin back in the bottom lane. He is going into the single target blow-up build, as my erstwhile co-caster would say, but he is the one that knows the assassin builds, not me, so if anything is out of the ordinary, you'll have to tell me. In the top lane, we have 3 people pushing in the lane near the next objective, so I'm going to have a very easy rotation up there. Brightwing is in the bottom lane, but it looks like they're going to actually waddle on up. Nope, they decide to stay in the bottom lane, and I think this is a really good call. They probably don't get a whole lot of advantage, maybe just picking up a little of extra XP. And, ooh, looking to get an engage on the Muffin. Oh, Liddell got the funny charge, where he got the charge off, but it was unfortunate for Muffin. Already went off before the blink went off, so he followed him the whole way, which is going to secure that kill out of Zeratul. And because of that kill, under Newb management are going to even up the objectives, but importantly, they even it up when it's on their opponent's side of the map, so it's really nice for them. A little bit of engage coming out onto Sage, but not going to be able to find anything as he hog wilds his way out of there. We did have Irby and bot lane the whole time, so a little bit of an XP advantage for ProBUs, but not one that can't be overcome by that 2-kill advantage that they have going. Tychus is going to go into the bottom lane to pick up the soak, as we have Sneaky Blades on the siege camp in the top lane. Alan, by default, is going to just provide cover. Looks like their opponents have no intention of contesting this camp, and with as deep as it is, and not really a huge surprise there. 8-bit just kind of hanging out in the bush, doing the good warding. Is going to slow Liddell down from rotating. We do have a kind of an engagement happening on here. Muffin doing some damage into Cleo. Irby in a bit of a rough spot, but is going to be able to get the dust to get himself out of there nice and quick. We got the objective now spawning on the side of under Newb management, so very likely going to go in favor of them, especially because they've got this camp pushing in the top lane as well. Muffin is going to have to stay and take care of that. I wouldn't be surprised if ProBUs elect to just completely get this objective, clear out top, get some damage in there, take this camp, and it's up to under Newb management to identify that they're not going to take this quickly and to try and get something out of it. Level 10s are available for ProBUs, but will very shortly be available for under Newb management as well. And under Newb management, down level 10 are actually going to be starting their boss. Probably the 10s come in before anything super noteworthy were to happen. A little bit of a hiccup there. Hopefully that's just for an update going on in the background. It will not be a consistent feature of my cast and gameplay in the future, but we shall see. Looking at the 10s, we have the Falling Sword, Might of the Nerazim. We've got Shockwave, which has been coming more and more into prominence, I feel. Cursed Bullet and the Blink Heal getting used just there, as ProBUs are going to take their own boss. Rather slower than their opponents, but I mean, they started it later, so that's fine. On the other side, we do have the stage dive, so ETC is allowed to be down here. Ooh, Muffin is fully invisible as we got an engage with Johanna, who's kind of filling that bush. Taunt coming out onto Hogger, who does get the shockwave off. It looks like they actually get interrupted. Really unfortunate time for my screen to freeze, so hopefully this is only on my end and you can actually see what's happening here, but I can see a lot of R buttons that's been pushed. We got some kills on both sides, and one for two in favor of Under New Management. Irby trying to get a cheeky channel there. Wasn't able to do it, and this is going to be Curse going over in favor of Under New Management. John Bunyan getting another little cheeky stall there. 8-Bit getting one as well, and I'm sure Under New Management were like, come on guys, just let us have this. Looks like all the R buttons were pressed, probably on both sides. The only one that maybe didn't was Curse Bullet, but it's got a relatively short cooldown, so it's not terribly surprising to see it available already. We've got a 4-man push in the mid lane as Tychus is in the top lane trying to clear out that boss. Both boss lanes had the fort get taken out. Pretty much what you would expect for a boss taken at that phase of the game. They're getting chunked out pretty hard. They do have the Hog Wild that's going to put some damage into the Jaina, and Muffin gets in there, and he gets the kill, pretty much securing that kill out of the Jaina that their front line had already started. We got a bit of a, looks like a peeling stage dive in there. Just making sure that they can't engage any farther. Mid fort's still standing, but Zeratul is rotated out, and it looks like it should be identified by Under New Management. I could see them trying to push in and take this, especially once 8-Bit gets spotted in the top lane. Oh, big engagement coming into Hogger. Irby does get the Soothing Mist activation. With the extra heal coming in on 7, he's going to keep him alive, but that does give position enough for Under New Management to take this fort. Probably, I think. We'll find out in just a moment when my computer stops dying. Excellent, they did get the fort. Alright, looks like Under New Management are positioned to take their Bruiser camp. And ProBUs have a 4-man invade and a Global Brightwing who is able to come in as necessary. EGC's Global is still on cooldown, so a really nice engage coming out from ProBUs, just kind of walking in with numbers and taking this camp away from their opponents. They're up level 13, so it makes a lot of sense that Under New Management wouldn't want to take that fight down the talent tier. But over time, that level advantage should start to even out a little bit, as there is a 1 fort differential in passive XP in favor of Under New Management. They were able to get 2 forts during that objective phase. Or they got 1 during the objective phase, 1 from the boss, and their opponents only got the 1 from boss. And with only the 1 curse tribute in favor of ProBUs, it's not something that couldn't be overcome by Under New Management by some good team fighting. And to be frank, good team fighting is what they've had going pretty much the whole game. Pleo makes you happy looking at this build. I don't know how it builds well enough. Speed metal. That actually did just get buffed. I think the duration of it got buffed. So it's nice to see the newly changed talents getting some time in the sunshine. I don't think Face Melt got buffed in the last patch. I mostly still see Encore, but you really don't need Encore when you're going stage dive because it's a relatively short cooldown already. So I'm not terribly surprised to not see Encore getting picked up here. I guess I'm just more surprised to see stage dive than I am to not see Encore. 8-Bit is going to be in the push. Liddell does get a nice taunt combo, but there is the Falling Sword to get him completely out of dodge. It's an even talent tier fight. We have Irby trying to soak up to that 16 right now in the top lane. We have 8-Bit looking to try and get an interrupt, but just a lot of good slowing and body blocking is going to prevent that. But Sage comes in with the Shockwave onto Sneaky Blades. That's the Draken Laser Drill getting popped by Tychus there, which is not Odin, by the way. So, nice taunt combo is going to spell another death for 8-Bit as we have Pleo coming in just now, and Sage is going to be the next to fall here. Really good fight coming out from Under New Management as they're able to even up that tribute disparity that they had, and they're going to immediately start their boss. Still 2 seconds on boss for ProBUs, but they really aren't in a position to take it. It looks like they're going to head in that direction anyway. They do have the damage dealers available, but if Under New Management are able to get there in time, and they already have Alan and the Varian split out to try and make it there in time, it is a race, and I think just barely ProBUs might be able to get this in time. Oh, no, they're not, and this is going to be huge. Muffin is going to get taunted. Is almost certainly going to be able to escape it. This is going to be a double boss pickup for the members of Under New Management. And right as the objective is beginning to spawn in the top lane, even talent tier, everything is coming up for the noobs. Boss is going to start putting some pressure into this top fort. Irby and 8-Bit are both consigned to this defense, as the other three members are defending the boss in the bottom lane. This is a completely free objective for the members of Under New Management. It's on their side of the map, and I think the next one will be on the opposite side of the map. So it might be something that the probes are able to hold, but at this point, all of the forts are now down, with only one fort down, 4 under New Management. That is the Joe shield getting ripped off by the shield breaker there from Liddell. Really nicely done to get that unstoppable gone. Because if you're not aware, destroying the shield in its entirety removes the unstoppable from Johanna's trait. So the counter to Johanna's D shield is just more damage. The objective is spawning on the right-hand side of the map in a pretty good spot for ProBUs to defend, but it's not great. All of the ults are available for both sides, and I think this is going to be about the most even team fight we'll have had so far this game. A lot of the 8 kills have mostly been picks, so if ProBUs are able to take a good fight, they can get themselves back in the game, but as it is right now, it's looking pretty bad for them. Look at all this pressure built up in the top lane. Liddell's going to start the early channel. No way that this actually goes through. 8-Bit is going to get charged and has the shield ripped off by that shield breaker once again. Liddell starting that channel just to force something from the members of Under New Management. ProBUs does bite with a nice cursed bullet to Liddell. We've got Muffin really deep going around trying to find an engage here. It looks like this was kind of identified by Under New Management as they're trying to push in on the front and now turning around on Muffin. ProBUs are split really badly. It's going to be kind of on Muffin to find a play out of this awkward position that he's put himself into. But Pleo's positioning really means that Muffin can't do anything. There's just so much protection from Under New Management. 8-Bit goes in, starts putting the damage into sneaking lanes, and with the shockwave, they aren't yet going to find the kill. The Johanna Falling Sword comes in, and that's a lot of damage, but no one actually goes down. Irby's behind, trying to keep the members topped up. There goes Silver, as the feed drop is just barely too slow, and that is going to be a very needed kill, but Muffin is going to fall in response, and Irby gets caught by the Northern Exposure, I believe. Pleo is going to get taken out next. Sage taking a couple of tower shots, but he is going to make it out of there. It's Numbing Blast. Sorry, it's the Root. I knew it was the Root, not the Armor. I just couldn't remember the talent name. It is a 3 versus 3 skill. Curse Bullet getting used once again. Liddell kind of low, but all 3 members of ProBUs are lower, maybe total, than the other side. His taunt comes in, and that's going to be a huge amount of damage coming in from the Jaina. 8-Bit is going to try and make it out of there as well. I don't think he has the D-Shield, but the Falling Sword is going to be able to get them out of there. John Bunyan is going to get chased down by Lucio, one of the best 1v1 heroes in the game. And that will be the second curse phase going over in favor of Under New Management, getting 3 consecutive tributes, with ProBUs not getting 1 in that time. Somewhat lucky for ProBUs. Under New Management don't have their damage in position. We have Sneaky Glades going back right now for a tap. Tychus had died, so Muffin is kind of trying to look for an engage, but Pleo's going to use the stage dive as a mobility tool just to get to the front line where he can stand in front of his more vulnerable teammates so they can start sieging onto this middle keep. And with the Draken Laser Drill, this is almost certainly going to fall. The real question is, how much else do ProBUs lose during this team fight, as the 20s are available now for Under New Management. You can see them, I'm not going to list them all off here. That is going to be 2 keeps falling, with still 20 seconds left on the curse. It looks like they're going to start pushing onto core. It's a little bit aggressive. This is definitely something that ProBUs can defend, but they have to defend is the thing. We do have the D-Shield getting popped by Johanna. Muffin looking for an engage into the backline, not finding it quite yet. Gonna hide talents for just a minute, as this is still a very tense situation. We do have a taunt coming out onto 8-Bit, and Falling Sword is gonna get him out of there. Unfortunate, he had to use the Falling Sword just before they picked up that level 20, so couldn't get the Falling Sword upgrade. So it is on that full 40 more second cooldown. We have ProBUs trying to chase this down, but you can't chase down a Lucio. Muffin may be looking to try and get into the game here, but the tanks still have a lot of CC between them. And with that Singularity Spike not landing, it looks like a scotch-free retreat coming out for the members of Under Newb Management. ProBUs, they held, but they're still in a very rough position. Alright, ProBUs looking to try and make a play here as they got their lanes cleared enough. 8-Bit is looking to try and find something. Nice Curse Bullet is going to hit on the Pleo, and Muffin coming in with that nice damage reset combo, but is going to get saved by the Beat Drop. It is not Beat Drop cooldown, it is the House Party. So, better healing over time, but less frequent burst prevention. We do, as mentioned, have the both Falling Sword and Might of the Nerazim upgrades. So really powerful level 20s coming up for the side of ProBUs, but they are still in a very rough spot as their opponents are taking another boss that they already have down, and ProBUs in every other instance had at least started their boss. It looks like that is certainly not going to be the case this time, as all ProBUs can try to do right now is hang on as their opponents are pushing through the bottom lane with this boss. They're probably going to take this siege camp, and I think ProBUs need to take a fight early. They can't let their opponents get on core with a full health boss, or it's just going to fall to all of that siege damage. Curse Bullet comes out, but it is the Gilnean Roulette, so has that available all the time. Big damage coming into 8-Bit, but Irby is able to get the Z in time. They're pushing back the members of Under Newb Management. They get a kill onto ETC, but are they able to get back? No Control is putting a fair bit of damage in, but is not going to keep him safe. 8-Bit putting himself into a pretty disadvantageous spot. It is going to get turned around upon and killed. Boss is on the core, and the shields are beginning to fall. Don't worry, Muffin, nobody saw you get stunned by an unset up boss stun. And oh my gosh, John Bunyan getting hit by the boss root. That is almost certainly going to be game, as Irby is going to fall. John Bunyan is going to make it out, but with the core falling very rapidly, that is going to be game number 1 going over in favor of Under Newb Management. GG, and well played. Next on my list of things to update in OBS, remove the cursor. Never a fan of having the cursor on screen. But checking out the post-game numbers, Brightwing normally has pretty high heal throughput, but really getting out-healed here by the Lucio. Liddell not falling once in that game, I think, is one of the most impressive things in the game. Usually you kind of expect the tanks to die a couple times. They're the ones standing in front, but Liddell really picking the engages very well and only going in when he could both survive and they could get a lot of value out of it. Choose prediction outcome. Literally nobody saw this coming, and points to the void. I'm sorry, everyone. That's just what you get for not at all believing in Under Newb Management. As of right now, the standings, I believe, pretty heavily favor ProBUs. So Under Newb Management getting a very good first win in this series. Currently, ProBUs is at 18 points in 7 games, where Under Newb Management are 12 points in 7 games. So a little bit of an upset in that game number 1. You'll love to see it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that might indicate that we're going to find ourselves potentially in a game number 3 this series. Just conferring with 8-Bit to see if they're going to go for map or hero in game number 2. They went for first hero pick in game number 1 and are opting to do so again. And I will inform Liddell that they have map pick. So hopefully we'll find out what map they want to go to relatively soon. As you can see, we have picked as to be determined. based off of the way game number 1 played out, my guess is Alterac pass for game number 2. It plays out relatively similar. I think that they macroed better, they rotated a little bit better, and were able to just hold points very well. And all of that to me sounds like Alterac pass. I've been invited to a custom game, and we find ourselves on Volskaya Foundry for game number 2. Big fan of this map. It also makes sense, I think, my description of perhaps why they'd want to go to this map. It is another map with pretty heavy rotations, pretty crisp timings on camps and such. And so I think this plays very well into how Under New Management played their game number 1. It does then beg the question, what does ProBUs need to do better to bring us to a game number 3? And normally this would be the question I'd ask of my co-caster as I take a drink of water. Instead, I'm just going to let that question hang in the air as I take a drink of water. As it is, I think ProBUs need to have a little bit crisper macro timings, and if they can find a couple of picks in rotation the way that their opponents were able to do, that can give them a lot of rotational advantage and allow them to do things like picking up the neutral heal camp or invade their opponent's camps. So, really going to want to see ProBUs trying to hold on to the rotational advantage, especially hold that spot between mid and top lane. The taunt variant was extremely good for that in the previous game. Very few heroes are able to take an advantage in the early game quite as hard as a taunt variant. So I can see him being pretty prioritized in that regard. I know Under New Management, I believe, played the variant in their match versus my team, and I don't think it was played in all 3 games because I think we started banning it. I am unsure of who it is that we are waiting on for this game. I did let them know that I'm ready. We have all 10 people in the lobby. Hopefully we'll get it started in just a moment. Volskaya is a fun map. I agree, Gokwe. I still am super sad that they took it out of the rotation for Storm League. I genuinely don't get it. I've had the running question of how has Storm League falling out of Storm League been for its popularity in NGS, and it's still relatively popular, but I believe last season it was a top 2 popularity map. It's definitely not that anymore. Dude, Muffin with a Maiev. I'm not gonna say that it is not 2002. That term is very far out of favor, Gokwe, and you should feel bad for even mentioning it. Alright, we've got the readies from both teams, so we're going to be getting into map number 2 on Volskaya Foundry, as chosen by Under Newb Management. In the last game, ProBUs went for the first pick, Brightwing, and I think that's a fine first pick. I think it's less of a fine first pick on this map, so I would definitely not expect to see that getting picked up here. I was made a referee this time, so I get to see the draft chat. Which, as a caster, I'm always happy about, because sometimes the teams banter, and I know that ProBUs are a team that will banter. I don't know what their rapport is with Under Newb Management, but I could see them saying things to each other, and I would prefer to read it. It helps to fill some of the dead time so I can, once again, drink some water. Hey look, a variant getting respect banned. I'm very unsurprised to see that. I think that, once again, very strong for controlling that rotation mid-top. Functions kind of like a Diablo regard in there, where you can just force an engagement to happen almost out of nowhere, and being able to get that advantage going to the first objective can really snowball the whole game. My team's healer heals me with expressing their disappointment. Yeah, it's a shame that Stats of the Storm doesn't track overhealed, because if so, you would be the recipient of very many overheals from the extreme amounts of disappointment that I have for you, Gokwe. It's a wonder that I can still be disappointed with how many times that you've disappointed me in the past. Sylvanas, Vala, and Maiev getting banned out. Maiev did just get buffed in a couple of ways, but I think it's more just that Maiev is a scary hero. And Vala is just still a strong hero. Junkrat was, I think, banned out in the previous game, so like to see them picking that up nice and early. Junkrat has a lot of point control, and he can be just a nuisance, if not incredibly powerful outright. This time, Alan by default going into the Deckard Cain, a hero I am not a huge fan of. However, I think that this is easily his best map. The control point geometry really favors the way that his abilities work. So I don't want to go so far as to say I'm a fan. I don't much like Deckard Cain, but I think this is a fine place to take him in. And ETC has enough setup to help Deckard reliably land his abilities, which is kind of the whole problem with Deckard in the first place, so I could really see them getting some value out of this 1-2 combo. On the other side, we've got Tychus, ever popular, and it seems like the higher rank you go, the more popular Tychus becomes. He's just such a strong hero in a way that I think is surprisingly versatile. You can go into a tank shredding build if the enemy team has a very high health pool tank, but you can also go into like the full Q build and you can kill any backline and it slows so they can't get away from you. It's very powerful and a surprisingly versatile early pick. Stukov also just got nerfed. Reactive Ballista Spores was unsurprisingly dominating Stukov's level 1 talent, so it got toned back, and I think his other 2 level 1s got buffed. I still expect to see Reactive Ballista Spores getting picked up here because it's stupid good. But it is worth mentioning that it did get buffed. On the other side, we've got Silver, Silver, Silver going onto the Zul'jin. I think that's a good hero for the map. I think that Zul'jin is just good in this map. It always goes late. Very rarely does a game finish before a third objective, and when you're good enough to play in Div A, you're probably looking at level 20 for that third objective, just because you get all of the soak. And when you get that late in the game, Zul'jin just becomes a terror. Gazlo actually just got toned down. I think it's a little... I found that a little surprising. I didn't feel like Gazlo was winning or super impactful, but I guess the numbers say otherwise because he got toned down just a little bit. Sonya, super good. Has been good for months and months now, and I love to see it. On the other hand, Muradin is a little bit less common of a tank, but he's also very flexible. You can play him back or you can play him forward. But I think with the team comp that we have on the side of under new management, looking to get a little bit of hero swappage as we had Silver, Silver, Silver get onto that ETC, Sneaky Glades onto the Zul'jin, and Liddell now on Gazlo, Pleo on Kael'thas, only Ellen by default, I believe, sticking onto his main role. A lot of swaps coming out. And I completely lost my train of thought, so we're just going to let that thought end there. I like a Kael'thas. I think he's a little bit underrated right now. And that's just because gravity laps. Like, having good CC on a damage dealer, I think is an underrated piece of kit, because most of the best CC abilities in the game, for the most part, are on tanks and healers. Bruisers sometimes get it on their ults, but that's not usually their main role to crowd control. So getting an extra CC onto a damage dealer is really powerful, because it just makes your CC train longer and more consistent. So, big fan of Kael'thas, personally, for that reason. You know what I forgot to mention completely? Portrait synergy in the previous game. We have the full Best Friend Carbot coming out for ProBUs, but it was all Halloween skins, I believe, coming out from under new management, so... Very different styles of Portrait Synergy coming out from our two teams. Alrighty, we have once again spawning on the left-hand side in the Cyan. They are under noob management, showing that even if your management is noob, as long as your players aren't, then you can really make your way through in Division A. With Silver playing the ETC Allen by default on Deckard Cain, Sneaky Glades on Zul'jin, Pleo on Kael'thas, and Liddell on the Gazlord. And on the right-hand side, in the orange trunks, they are ProBUs, with John Bunyan playing the Junkrat, Irby playing the Stukov, Muffin playing the Tychus, 8-Bit on Maraud and Muradin, but not really because that skin is banned, and Sage waddling off into the bottom lane on that Duck Mount, playing Sonya. Checking out the level 1 talents, super not at all surprised at really any of the talents, I think, getting picked up for under new management. We've got the Recklessness, the Sapphire, Arcane Barrier, words escape me sometimes, for the Kael'thas, and Bomb build coming out on level 1 for Gazlo. Is that... Oh, Guitar Hero. I think that Guitar Hero is a little bit of an interesting pick. I normally see Prog Rock, but I also normally only see Ace playing ETC these days, so that could just be me noticing Ace's stylistic choice and not knowing the ETC's meta at all. And on the other side, we've got the extra wound timers coming out for the Junkrat, so going into more of a Q build and less of maybe of a trap build like I think you tend to see. My favorite talent, really on either side, I think, is this one right here, the Press the Advantage, increasing the auto attack range on the Tychus. The extra grenade range is still very popular, and I think even the most popular pick, but it just allows Tychus to play very safe, as under the management, identifying that their opponents wanted to take an early camp are going to take a very early Biotic emitter here, so really shrewd plays coming out from them as they're able to take that instead of their own camp. Identifying that their opponents were doing something just safe. Ooh, big Stukov combo coming out there, and is going to find the first kill in the game on that ETC. Was that reactive Ballista Spores, or was that a random hit? It's not even reactive Ballista Spores, I didn't even notice. It's low blow. So it was given a little bit of extra damage. There we go, getting us back onto the neutral vision. So yeah, it was given extra damage in the most recent patch as, again, Reactive Ballista Spores dominating. Another good combo coming out. That is the level 4 version of the Virulent Reaction, getting the big slow and the silence, but there's no root. But when you're Deckard Cain with not that much of a health pool, it doesn't actually matter that much. Very quick first camp is getting picked up, the siege camp by ProBUs. They're going to take it immediately, not electing to hold on to it and get it going during the objective. Means they'll be able to pick it up again earlier later, but it does mean that it's, again, not pushing during the objective, which is generally kind of what you want. I don't often mention level 4 talents, but we do have the Ruby coming out from Deckard Cain. I haven't looked at his talent win rates enough to know if that is still the meta. It used to be immediately after Ruby got its buff reverted, you go Gem and then usually Kanai on 7, or you don't end up going either of the gems. Nice attempt at an engage coming out from 8-Bit, but isn't really going to find anything. He's mostly just going to take a lot of damage, but the trade will get him healed up decently, unless Liddell gets some damage and it stops it from proccing yet. Because under new management took their camp later, it is going during the objective, which means that John Bunyan's going to have to be in the top lane clearing this out. Which, just that small advantage is going to allow under new management to step on this button, even though they're down level 7 right now. We do have Sonya in the bottom lane, still undoing the damage that was done by Gazlo up here, and they have the level 7 advantage, and they're going to use it to step on the point now. But that was ish 44% channeled, kind of just because there was a camp top lane. Another big combo coming out from Irby. Stop it. Actually don't. I want a game number 3, so go ahead and keep killing anyone on under new management so we can get us into that sweet, sweet game number 3. Because this, now I was talking about how good of a play it was taking the neutral camp earlier, but taking this camp means that they can take it again during the objective. Muffin picking the item up when he already had an item, so just set the other one down. A little bit of a funny play there. Ellen by default looking to see if he can step on point and delay this out, but really can't. And that is first objective of the game, going over in favor of ProBUs. Really looking like a pretty significant turnaround from that first game. I like that. I like that teams are starting to get an initial round of abilities into the front wall in mid lane before going top. A lot of teams, I would say most teams, don't utilize the duration of the Triglav. They get good use out of the health bar, because the enemy heroes attack it and whatnot, but I don't think a lot of teams use anywhere close to the full duration of it. So you see the Triglav coming in here, using the gunner abilities, and then backing off. Granted, the enemy team has a Zul'jin, you never want to step up into a Zul'jin given those free Triglav stacks. And that is part of why I think that Zul'jin is so strong in this map, because you get stacks off of the Triglav, and also because the game goes late. But really well played, actually, by Under Newb management, as they have not lost the well in top lane. We have a 5-man from ProBUs up here. They still want to try and make it happen, as their 10s are in, and we've got the leap coming in, as well as the Stukov combo. Gonna get some good damage. Silver is still gonna make it out, and Sage is gonna fall. Really well played by Under Newb management to get that kill down level 10 and outnumbered. Apit still looking for an engagement to happen here. He gets the double stun into Deckard and Zul'jin. Another huge root combo coming out from Irby is going to even up that kill count from that last team fight very substantially. 10s are almost online for the numbers of Under Newb management, but they certainly can't attempt to step into this point down a hero, with Gazlo still soaking it out and taking camps in the bot area. So now it's 4 items, I think, to 0. Yeah, 4 items to 0 in favor of ProBUs, and they're going to invade their opponent's camp. And they're actually going to need to get Sage to rotate in here just to pick up this turret if they're able to get it. Silver coming in. Decent gravel bomb combo coming out. Silver is going to get leapt upon and killed. Deckard Cain getting interrupted at the last second. Pleo is going to get killed next. And that is 2 more kills to 0 in favor of ProBUs. Really looking like a different team this game, and looking a little bit more like a team that should be at the top of the standings compared to the previous game. Once again, we got the Draken laser throw from the Tychus player. It's a good point control map, but you know, there's actually I think it's a little weird. Not gonna lie, I think it's a little weird, but it's been getting some good value in both of the last 2 games, so I can't complain too terribly much. What items did we get used on that previous fight? It looks like a biotic emitter and a turret were used by ProBUs. Maybe even 2 turrets were used to take that 1. But still, very hefty item advantage in favor of ProBUs. But, and this is a very large but, because we like large buts, and we do not lie. Under Newb management, not really that far behind. They're down about a level and a half, and the talent tier there is pretty big, but they're not down any buildings. They're down items, and they might be down a Zul'jin in just a second here, although Silver coming in with a great heal, but taking a ton of damage for the attempt, is going to get leapt and killed. I definitely think if he had just committed to the slide and then leaving, could have probably made it out of there, but a little unfortunate play coming out from the ETC there. Is that Liddell? No, Liddell's on the gas well. Yeah, Under Newb management, still, even with that kill now, not down buildings, just down item and levels, and you know, it's hard to win team fights down items, and especially a talent tier. But when they get this level 13, they could definitely make a play happen here. If you kill your opponents before they can put their items down. Oh, big engagement coming out onto Muradin. We do have the ult getting popped there, and Silver is going to make it out of there. A little bit of an overcommitment to kill the Muradin, as the Pyro Blast probably was unnecessary. But you know, overcommitting to getting a kill is better than undercommitting and not getting it. Health bar is pretty low on the side of Under Newb management, and Deckard Cain not especially well known for his ability to put out big heals, although the super pots are going to help that substantially. And now that they finally have a man advantage on the map, they can actually step up and get the channel on this. Muffin is looking for Liddell. This is going to be a leap engage. Yeah. And pretty nice there. We do not have the Virulent coming in. The net coming out onto Muffin, but a big slap from Irby is going to save him there. Yeah, it's 1, 3, and 7 full Lurking Arm build coming out. So the Growing Infestation and the It Hungers increasing the range. And if there are 6 ticks of damage during that channel, it completely resets the cooldown, I think mana cost. Yeah, so it's not especially hard to get like complete resets on that ability. That kill was onto Gazlowe was really important for ProBUs as they were starting to lose a little bit of momentum. But that kill meant that they could just 5-man in top lane. They're going to take down this fort as they identified their opponents are not here to defend. They're pushing bottom lane instead. And so they'll trade 1-for-1 in forts, but it's a little bit of a monk-esque play when your opponents are going to back it up with the Triglav Protector. And it looks like they're considering pushing into the top lane instead. Yeah, with their opponents already in the bottom lane, ProBUs are looking to threaten the keep here. You don't normally get a keep, but then again, you normally take it through bottom lane to set up the objective. A big concussion mine from John Bunyan is going to put Sneaky Blades on the other side of the wall. He's taking quite a bit of damage from this Triglav. Muffin is going to get engaged on by the ETC, but is kind of going to get saved by the knockback coming out from the concussion mine, I believe that was. Ooh, Silver in a bit of a rough spot, and engagement coming out onto 8-bit. He's able to pop the Avatar, keeping himself nice and topped up. A lot of damage actually coming into Muffin, and he is barely going to get killed by the Living Bomb there. We still have the Pyroblast for that big dam available, but not gonna... Didn't opt to use it to the Muradin, so probably gonna have to just save it for another point, as there's no one really low enough to make that ult valuable. One thing I always like to mention about Pyroblast, most things in this game, including almost every hero's health, scales at 4% per level. Pyroblast scales at 5% per level. So the longer the game goes on, the stronger Pyroblast becomes. So I don't want to say that it's a late game heroic, but the longer the game goes on, it really seems to me like the game will probably start to favor under new management. However, and it's a very large however, only at 11 stacks on Yuan Axe, so it doesn't even have the range upgrade yet. Actually has more stacks on his level 7 than he has on the level 1. Really not what you want to see, especially at this late phase in the game. Both teams now looking to take their siege camp, taken very quickly for under new management, as they have Gazlowe kind of poking around in the top lane, but really looking like they want to just kind of stick together as 4 or even 5. ProBUs very much doing the same thing right now, really not wanting to get caught out by the other team, as that's how ProBUs have been finding a lot of their advantages just in small picks. Silver is going to anchor this bush at 8-bit. Has the wherewithal not to run into it. So not quite getting the engagement that I'm looking for. Under new management are really good about sharking bushes. They got a lot of value out of it in the first game, and I've seen them get a lot of value out of it in other games as well. So really like to play the vision and information game. See Silver going there and immediately checking that bush, finding Sage there. Really don't want to just have Sonya existing in there. This is going to be a really hard fight for under new management to take, as well, I was going to talk about the concussion mine on the point, but you know the leap and blow up on the ETC is a little bit more poignant, as Kael'thas is going to get chased down and killed as well. Very nice 2-0 kills in favor of ProBUs, and they're going to use that man advantage to try and push down top keep. As their camp actually won up in the top lanes, they're going to have this on the point. 8-bit stepping in very deep, looking for Liddell, is getting chunked by the keep and taking a lot of damage. The Ruby came out, but you know they spawn all around you. So Ruby, it's a very good throughput talent, but it's really not very good when your allies are retreating, as you can't normally afford to pick up the mini potions themselves. Allen by default and Sneaky Glade stepping up to try and make an aggressive defense here. And with 5 members of ProBUs in the top lane, it's probably a necessary play from them. Big Ruby healing coming out there, but very not needed. But if you were unaware, actually, Ruby is the, quote, wave clear, unquote, talent on level 4. as it also increases the amount of damage that the Heraldric Cube does. Not just to heroes, so it helps his wave clear by... I don't want to say an insignificant amount, because any extra wave clear onto a healer is pretty substantial, but it's still not incredible. We got a pause coming out from Silver of Under New Management, and so we're going to put us on the between game screen, just so that the teams can't tune in and check the status of the game. Since we've got a second to check out the town... Ooh, somebody's mouse died. That's unfortunate. See, this is why you don't use wireless mice. Get a nice hardwired mouse, and you will be good to go. Never have to worry about batteries. And I mean, why do you even need a wireless mouse when playing games? I don't get it. All right, so check out the level 20s. They're probably the most impactful thing that's happened recently. We've got the rewind coming out from Muradin. I think that's the standard pick. I feel like I never see anything else. We got the 1 and the 20 on Q, but full trap build everywhere else coming out for the Junkrat. So extra poke damage, but maybe a little bit less burst. Stukov, we got the controlled chaos, a pretty standard pickup. And the Sonya and Tychus looking to hold theirs. I would expect to see Ignore Pain, and from Tychus, frankly, I have no idea. Why get a cat when you can get your very own ProBUs? Alright, both teams have said that they are... Well, I can't say that for sure. Didn't feel like I needed to be super precise with the cadence of that unpause timing, as neither team was particularly close to the other. We've got the Bob and Weave, so giving him that extra range and all the other good stuff off of his dash. And Sonya's still hanging on to it. Could go into the area crater, which would give more leaps and also, you know, the terrain blocker coming out, but you still normally see the... Oh, we've actually got Spear, a composite Spear coming out on level 20. Very interesting pickup. Under new management, they're doing the good play right now. They've got 4 people on the defense, so ProBUs can't just push in easy onto this keep, because they have to keep someone on the point. So at most it would be even, with 20 advantage for ProBUs, but the keep fort advantage for under new management. And then they've got Gazlo split out to take that camp, but really mostly to soak. To try and make up that level 20 differential, as third Triglovs often end the game. We have ProBUs opting not to go through bottom lane, where yeah, they could get a fort, they maybe get a keep, but more importantly, top's already down, and this Triglov hits like a bus on buildings. Sneaky Blades is going to top his level 1 and get some good damage in, though. Only the Sonya is in here, and I think this is, again, a really interesting play coming out from them, as the auto attacks from the Triglov actually do a ton, and the rest of the team is pretty good in there as well. We do put Junkrat in there now, as they're barreling into this core through the completely unprotected top lane. Damage is going into the Triglov. 8-Bit and Muffin are split out to try and get some damage in there as well. We have the Gravel Bomb combo coming out, but not finding any damage. Controlled Chaos getting used there just to try and keep people off of doing damage, but the Triglov is just hitting for a ton of damage, and that is going to be game number 2 in favor of ProBUs, bringing us to a game number 3, and oh my goodness, I'm the worst. Actually the worst. Hopefully I was able to paint enough of a picture in your mind about what was happening there. My bad. Return to radio. Oh, I feel so bad about the end of that game there. I'm so sorry, everyone. In recap, under new management, we're defending the bottom keep. ProBUs were, the bottom fort rather. ProBUs were on the point. They won the Triglov. They walked through top lane and just kind of right-clicked on the core. So... sorry about that. can see that I have a Discord notification. I wonder if that's someone trying to let me know. From Majesty, you're on the between game screens. It sure was someone trying to let me know I was on the wrong scene. Yeah. On the other hand, we've got ourselves a game number 3, and now that under new management have the option, I wonder if they're going to go for map or hero pick. They're 1 for 1 of their own map pick, and they haven't had the opportunity for first hero pick yet, so we shall have to see. I know what goes in the cast report form under any issues. It wasn't an issue, it's just I'm bad. Alright, I have confirmation under new management are going to go for hero pick, so it'll be up to 8-bit to bring us to our game number 3. Loved the radio cast, thank you so much, Broom Boy. You know, in a way, it actually brings me back as well. I remember there were times where I'm originally from Buffalo, and if the Sabres game didn't sell out, they wouldn't actually put the game on TV. So sometimes we would just listen to the game in the car radio so we could hear what was happening, even if we couldn't see what was happening. Because, you know, there's no way we're going to be paying for a sports channel when we can just listen to Rick Jenneret talk about the Buffalo Sabres when we could do that for free. I have been invited to a lobby. Yeah, I don't know what map I want, so I'm not going to try and guess. I'm just going to get on in here, see what it is. And we find ourselves on Dragonshire for game number 3. That is, I think, really exciting, actually. As picked by ProBUs. So recently, I actually kind of like this map. Kinda. Mostly because the team's been finding success on it. But more than that, it's a map that plays really differently to all of the other maps because of the lane arrangement and the fact that you basically have 2 channeled objectives active all the time. The geometry of the mid-bot rotation means you can get a lot of ganks. There's a lot of gank potential, a lot of camp priority down there. It's a map with a lot going on, so you can really see the better, more practiced teams come out ahead here. And you know, I hate to do this to you all because I don't have Spotify working quite yet. So I'm gonna put you on the intermission screen as I need to fill up my water before game number 3. And we're back. Just waiting on the lobby getting finished up. The first draft team is still set to coin toss, so need to get that swapped over to team number 2, and then we should be getting started just after that. Thank you everyone for being here. There's like a strangely large number of viewers considering how late this was picked up. Oh, a bit of contention. 8-Bit saying they need first pick. Liddell saying that they picked the map. I don't know exactly what's happening, but you know, we can bring us into the chat screen so we can all get in on the confusion. All right. So it is as expected. ProBUs have picked the map under new management, have first hero pick, so we should be getting ready to go in just a moment. 8-Bit trying to steal a little bit of an advantage by taking map and hero pick. Pretty strong if you ask me, but I don't think Liddell's going to give up the goat on that one. We've got the R's coming in from everybody. You should be getting in after the requisite 6-second delay between pushing the start button and the draft screen actually appearing. And we're going to figure out who is going to come out on top in this Division A match. If for some reason you haven't been watching the whole cast and didn't see any of the between game screens while we're getting the first bans underway, we'll go over it real quick. The coin toss was won by ProBUs, who opted for first hero pick. Under new management, banned out Towers of Doom and Brax's Holdout because of shenanigans. And on the other side, the Infernal Shrines and Battlefield of Eternity were banned out by ProBUs. I guess they're not a fan of the Diablo 2 Resurrected remake. So banning out both of the Diablo-themed maps. Map number 1 was picked and won by Under new management. Map number 2 was picked by them and won by ProBUs. We find ourselves on Dragonshire for game number 3 as picked by ProBUs. Let's see if we can complete the perfectly symmetrical coloring if ProBUs are able to win that game number 3. But I'm sure Under new management are going to do everything they can to try and prevent that. Hogger getting banned out this time. A little bit of a respect ban from the previous game, and always respect banning the Maiev. No fun heroes today for you, Muffin. Brightwing getting banned out, which is not a huge surprise. It's a nice, I know what scene I'm on, Majesty. Don't you tell me scene again. Actually, is my audio working on the between screen? Is that why you said that? Nope, it's definitely working. I don't know why you messaged me again. Get out of here. Brightwing, very strong. Global. Can make you just win the top lane at any point. Love to see that ban here. Vala getting picked up once again. Was previously banned out by Under new management, really respecting the power of the Vala, and now that they've got first pick, they're just gonna have it. So, you'll love to see it. On the other hand, they've been playing really strong ETC, and you know, that's a very aggressive start to a front line. The Anubrak with the 3 stuns, the Uther with 1, possibly 2 stuns, can really lock down a front line, and a squishy tank like ETC probably does not want to be there. And a squishy tank like ETC we will not have, as Garrosh is going to be the pickup here from Silver, and Anduin is getting played by Alan by default. I really like this combo a lot. Garrosh has really strong engage abilities, and Anduin's got very good follow-up, as well as he's just one of the, I would say, 3 really good generically useful healers in the kind of triad of Anduin, Brightwing, Stukov. You see at least one of those represented in basically every game these days. The Jaina getting banned out makes a lot of sense, is again incredible follow-up to a Garrosh engage. One thing that I could be mixing up teams here, but if I'm not mistaken, Silver will go into Decimate Garrosh and use him walking at you as their engage condition, instead of having the guaranteed big silence with the Warlord's Challenge, and instead going for a more consistent engage. But that might have been a totally different team that I'm remembering doing that, so who knows? On the other side, we have Muffin playing the Greymane once again. Sonya on the Sage on the Sonya once again. Very strong, generically good hero for the top lane. Doesn't lose many matchups, but it's interesting that they're not opting to have their Bruiser picked up last. You often see teams keeping their Bruiser until the very last pick so they can get a guaranteed winning matchup, especially on a lane on a map like Dragonshire, where the top lane is so important to win. Rexxar getting picked up because he basically never loses in both the lane and on point to a single hero. Very highly prioritized on Dragonshire and on Brax's holdout. Deathwing getting picked up. He's a lot slower of a... Oh, hello, dog. My dog has come up to say hello to me and also to let me know that it's after 7 o'clock and therefore it's his dinner time. Deathwing, a lot slower of a global than some of the others, but he's a very strong mage, which is a funny thing to say about what is technically categorized as a bruiser. Don't forget to change scenes from draft to in-game when casting Heart. Thank you so much, Majesty. I'm not mixing the teams up. Let's go. Thank you for that, Gokwe. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Very strong mage in the Deathwing. You tend to see him run in the 4-man and a little bit less in the solo lane these days. On the other hand, Orphea, I think, pairs very strongly against Deathwing because he's really big, he's slow, and you can get a lot of resets with those Qs. And it can be hard for really anyone but Garrosh to deal with the Orphea picked up here in the Underdew Management comp. So I'm really expecting Muffin's play to be what makes or breaks this game number 3 for ProBUs. You know, it looks like Underdew Management have all Halloween skins on first pass, but I think Liddell and Silver are not actually Halloween skins. They're just kind of in the same-ish art style. So, Portrait Synergy going over in favor of ProBUs. We have decided. Materium, we have a match on Sunday? Yes. Yes, we do. Alrighty, spawning on the left-hand side in the blue trunks for the last time tonight. They are under Newb management with Liddell playing the Rexxar. Sneaky Glades is on Vala. Alan by default on the Boy Wonder Anduin. Silver on the Garrosh, and Pleo playing the Deathwing. And on the right-hand side, in the orange trunks, they are ProBUs with Irby playing the Lumberjack, Sage playing Sonya, 8-Bit on a Nubarak, John Bunyan is on the Greyman, and Muffin is playing the Orphan.
2, 1.
Checking the level 1 talents, we have the expected healer build coming out from Uther. We've got the start of a Divine Star build coming out from Anduin, but that's not exactly an uncommon pickup. It is the most burst healing that you can get on level 1 because you get that shield on heroes as it comes out. ProBUs doing a little bit of not quite Sylve cheese using the Nubarak Beetle to soak tower shots. A little bit of a tricky attempt at a disengage that are coming out from 8-Bit, but he is going to get caught and killed by Silver, and the Vala. They got a sidewall down, so I wonder if they're actually trying to get the well snipe instead of the tower there. Either way, it's a level 1 kill. It's worth like 3 minions worth of XP, so they're not going to be too far behind in XP. Where they're going to actually be behind is in just general rotation speed, as they haven't quite cleared mid yet. And John Bunyan and Cleo kind of facing off in the bottom lane. Silver is going to get in behind John Bunyan, and I feel like he probably just dies here if Silver can get a throw, and he does, and that is death to John Bunyan. Underdew Management really putting on the pressure again. Both of these games have started very strong in favor of one team in particular, and this game, as of right now, is no exception, with Underdew Management just bursting out of the gates with this aggression. A little bit of an attempt of an engage to try and get onto 8-Bit, but not going to let himself get caught like that. Shrines are available, and this is where we see the power of Rexxar as he's able to soak and be on the button at the same time. Incredibly overpowered, and allows him to, like I said in draft, just kind of not lose ever on these maps. We have control of the mid lane in favor of ProBUs, and they're going to send Muffin up to the top lane. Sneaky Glades is going to start getting a channel, and just barely gets it in time. Sage was on the point, but just, like, frames too slow to actually get the interrupt on that DK. Dragon Knight is being brought into the bottom lane to try and get this early damage. It's less than a 2-minute DK, so it probably doesn't get a ton of value, but it'll at least get this wall, as you've got a lot of fiery Dragon Breath attacks coming out here. They'd love to get this well so that they can have the advantage in the team fights over this bottom point, but it doesn't look like it is going to have enough health for that. Oh, big engagement coming out on 8th. It doesn't get the Burrow Charger out before the damage coming out. And that damage, as well as the DK's big kick there, is going to mean that Underneath Management are able to force the well there, so a really good advantage for them, allowing them advantage in every subsequent fight over bottom channel point. Man. I have a history of only remembering to do predictions for the first game, and without a co-caster, that is like the first thing to fall out is predictions, and I feel a little bit bad, but I'm also not going to stop following the stuff around on the map and talking about the game long enough to actually set that up. So shrug, sorry, no predictions for you. You're gonna have to get your absolutely nothings somewhere else. Bruiser Camp did get picked up by ProBUs. It is getting picked up by Underneath Management, but quite a bit slower. But they've already got the level 7 advantage. They've already got big advantage in the bottom lane, so taking that camp slower is really not much of a big deal. Camp getting picked up in the bottom lane by Underneath Management, but they're actually going to be an engagement onto the bottom Bruiser. Having seen top Bruiser just getting taken, they feel like they can do this safely, and I don't know if that's actually true. They definitely get the camp, but does 8-Bit make it out alive? Yes, he will. Burrow Charge comes up just then. Really nicely done. Good recognition, knowing that they had the camp clear necessary to take that before their opponents could rotate in. John Bunyan is, just barely able to get in that minion wave in time.
Prepare yourselves, heroes. The shrines will soon be active again.
Checking the top lane because it's a map with not a ton happening right now. Sage, pretty good on health. Liddell, pretty good on mana, so really neither team is going to be in a very strong spot, but this Spell Armor camp is going to make this in Liddell's favor for quite a while until that is able to get cleared up by Sage. Camp is now being picked up in the bottom lane by ProBUs, and you know, they're down 2 kills, but they're not particularly far behind in XP, so really not much of an advantage to either team at this point in the game. Channel is already in favor of Underneath Management. They don't have anybody even close to mid lane to try and get advantage of it. Silver just walks in and combos 8-Bit to half his health. Granted, he takes half his health too, but Garrosh has constant armor, so the lower you get him, the harder it is to actually finish the job. Muffin is in the mid lane, trying to force Liddell out. Really kind of nice job on them to try and get the double soak value, keeping Sage in the top lane. He could start pushing it out onto this wall a little bit, but looks like, yeah, that is going to be maybe the play he makes there. Another, looks like an engagement coming out on 8-Bit here. He gets brought down very low, but Muffin is going to be the next to fall here. 8-Bit not able to position himself to save the Orphan there. And you know what? Probably Orphans are used to being disappointed, so don't imagine that that's coming as much of a shock to Orphea there. We have the channel could be available. Actually, Liddell is getting forced out, so he can't get the channel here. The fort is going to get taken by the members of Underneath Management, but Sonya's putting enough pressure onto the actual body of Rexar to stop Underneath Management from having control over the top points. They may need to force a rotation up here to try and make that happen. We actually have the opposite. We have a rotation out by Sage. They're looking to try and find an engagement here. Silver is going to get the unstoppable. Big damage coming out onto the Sneaky Blaze as they get the friendly toss out. Anduin got wrapped and is going to survive as well. Barely surviving here. A really good engage coming out from ProBUs, but as good or maybe even better of a disengage from Underneath Management. Muffin, be very careful. You get slowed there. Could get engaged upon, but that's actually just going to be DK. There was no interrupt and Sage was late on the getting the top points, so that's going to be another DK going over in favor under new management. And now that it's 7 minutes, it's a lot stronger than it was at 2 minutes. We do have the Decimate Garrosh as predicted with Bellowing Roar, Light Bomb, Unleash the Dwarven, Rain of Vengeance, as Strafe has fallen out of favor somewhat as the level 20 got nerfed pretty badly a couple patches ago. On the other side, we've got the Crushing Jaws, the Divine Shield, the Wrath like we saw, Cursed Bullet, and Leap. Big engagement, but a huge Divine Shield is going to keep John Bunyan not only alive, but full on hit points until just there. Silver got brought pretty low because of that Cursed Bullet, but neither team trading away a kill there. Sonya was splitting that whole time, getting some good damage and value in the top lane. I have received Discord notifications I will look at later. We have under new management taking their siege camp and ProBUs taking their own bruiser camp. Probably slight advantage in favor of the bruiser camp. It's just the better of the two camps, but still, keep wanting to call under new management by just Silver's name for some reason. Sorry, the rest of UNM. Bruiser camp is now getting picked up by under new management as ProBUs took their own siege camp as well. Really, both teams not engaging. I think this is pretty smart. Under new management really want to get that 13 talent tier before trying to make an engagement happen. ProBUs I could see maybe wanting to take a fight 12v12, but it is not going to happen, and instead they're probably just going to continue to avoid fighting until they can get their own level 13s. Yeah, both teams right now being really careful. Actually, under new management making kind of a sneaky play, staying off the map. They were trying to bush party this this camp, but instead just going to end up taking. We have an attempt onto Liddell here, as ProBUs are going to use that opportunity to clear their opponent's bruiser camp. Not seeing their opponents, going to play conservatively. This is going to play right into under new management's hand, however, as they were not looking to make an engagement happen up level 13. They were taking that bruiser camp at the bottom lane instead, and ProBUs not committing harder means the top fort is going to stay alive, which is really good for under new management. Ooh, Silver taking a lot of damage, but Anduin, he's got that once per 70 seconds no button, and it comes into great effect there, keeping Silver from being engaged upon even farther. Pleo coming in with the Cataclysm, but not going to be able to find any follow to CC, other than I think just the Earthshaker. But Sonya's able to spin her way on out of there and is going to go into the top lane to try and contest the channel, but Sage, you better be quick. If they could just get this channel out right. Liddell has started the channel. I think he's just going to get it. Little bit of a mistake once again coming out from ProBUs, not having an interrupt available and not getting the counter channel in time in the top lane. This mid fort certainly going to fall, as we have only 3 people defending it. The DK is rotating up into the top lane. They've already had a good job maintaining the pressure in top lane. Just Rexar things really, but if they can get again the front wall and especially the well, it can give a really powerful advantage in favor for under new management. 8-Bit is deep in the back line, looking to try and find an engagement after we have some big movement abilities coming out there. A lot of displacement, throwing Anduin away and kicking people. You got the web wrap onto the Garrosh. ProBUs looking to try and find a fight here, but they're really not able to lock anyone down long enough to make that engage happen. They put some okay burn into the DK for it, but really not what they were looking for, having popped that many R buttons. 8-Bit is playing the Bush game, is going to get thrown, but I think he got interrupted by the Impale, so he wasn't able to get the Groundbreaker after the Wrecking Ball, so both tanks kind of squaring off and really not finding anything of value for it. Once again, we've been seeing this basically every time a DK comes up. Sage is off in another lane, trying to make up for that XP differential that they're going to find themselves in, and it's doing a pretty good job of keeping them in the game XP-wise. Speaking of, let's go ahead and check out the XP totals. 12,600 for the Rexar, 11,337 for the Sonya. So pretty close on both teams. The really big differential is going to be in hero kills and Hero kills mercenaries, and actually passive is a pretty substantial amount of XP in favor of Underdue Management, giving him over 2,000 compared to their opponents. Checking out the damage numbers, actually very low on both sides in hero damage. These teams have not been fighting very much, and when they are quick and decisive. They are not protracted poke wars. 8-Bit looking for a very aggressive engagement on Silver, but a really good Indomitable is going to stop that from finding any real value. Siege damage, though, that's where the real numbers are at, and Rexar 2 is in fact better than 1 and is allowing him to do the most siege damage in the game.
My beloved is gone.
16 is available for both sides. We do have the full Mage Wing build as expected. What are these talents? Double Up. I never see Double Up, and Seasoned Soldier. So going into the full trait and armor build for Garrosh. And you know what? It's kept him alive, and I haven't felt like he's been lacking anything, so who am I to comment on tank talent choices? Nobody. That's who. We do have the rotation coming up for ProBUs. Once again, tanks just constantly playing in bushes to both protect and threaten aggressive flanks, but neither team is going to get caught out by it this time. We've got Liddell running straight into the bottom lane. Misha Bear is far behind, so they can try and get the bottom channel. We have an engagement coming out once again. We have the Cocoon onto Garrosh. Alan by default is going to get the pull on the Sneaky Blade. The second pull on the Silver. Pleo's able to cataclysm out. Looks like that was 1 to 3 ults getting used there in favor of Underdue Management, but that was both Anduin pulls. So, kind of like another heroic. We've got ProBUs looking once again for engage. Indomitable is down as well as both of the pulls. The Light Bomb is going to hit out and a huge decimate, but the... Oh, actually, Uther did end up falling in that. He used the D-Shield on somebody else and wasn't able to keep himself alive for it. The Uther Ghost is walking on trying to keep 8-Bit topped off, but I don't think he has a Burrow Charge out. And he does not. It is going to be the next to fall. Liddell's very low and is going to get taken out. Muffin started to do a lot of damage by hitting these multi-person chomps, but isn't able to find a Q reset there, and that is going to end that engagement. Muffin going in for an engagement. Sneaky Glaives is going to fight this off. We don't have a leap engage, but we do have the spear there. Really good rain event is going to keep Sneaky Glaives alive long enough for Pleo to come down at just over half health. Sorry for that unplanned silence, but I thought it was getting pretty dry there as there was just a lot of action, so I didn't have any time to stop talking for almost a full 2 minutes. We do have some pressure in top lane, but Deathwing is going to take care of that pretty nicely. We've got Underdue Management checking the bottom camp once again. We have Silver is going to hold this bush as Sneaky Glaives is going to take this very quickly. It is the full Q-Build coming up from the Vala. Now the real question is, what does Vala take on level 20, because they're all very strong. Sage is going to get the channel on bottom point. Is probably going to have to disengage in a very quick way when they see Silver, but actually doesn't see anyone yet. I didn't think that he showed in bottom lane, so that could have been a pretty scary spot for Sage to be in, but is not going to get punished at all. Once again, this camp getting picked up by Underdue Management. Camps really have been going over in favor of them pretty much all game, but at this point, you can see them. They're playing very far back. They don't want anything to do with ProBUs until they can get their own level 20s. On the other hand, ProBUs, they want everything to do with Underdue Management before they have their level 20s. They're looking to try and make something very aggressive here. That's why we've got 8-Bit positioned not only out of vision, but on the other side of that wall. We've got Deathwing in the top lane, so this is a nice 5v4 that ProBUs could take if they're able to find it, but Underdue Management really not giving it to them. So instead, ProBUs weren't able to find anything. Their opponents get level 20s, so they just kind of have to leave. We've got the Brute Force. We've got it. We've got the Acrobat. Extra E's, and every E gives a Q reset, so that is an obscene amount of damage potential coming out from Sneaky Glaives. We do have 8-Bit able to get the channel in top lane before under Newb management are able to, and is going to be able to get on out of there before Silver can find an engagement happen, unless he just gives it to him. We've seen that a couple times, but he is able to get out of there. It's the Decimate upgrade, which I think reduces the cooldown and also gives a 25% damage cut. Oh my gosh, it's a 40% damage cut, but no CDR. Sneaky Glades is going to get the channel once again. ProBUs just a little slow on so many of these DKs. Like almost every DK, Sage has been trying to channel the point and just ProBUs hasn't had an interrupt. And it's really unfortunate for them, but they should be able to get their 20s relatively soon. If they're able to rotate Sage in, they can maybe take a nice advantageous team fight and try to get themselves back in this game. They only have the one fort available still, while their opponents still have all three. But Vala being in the DK means that the primary hero damage for under Newb management is not here. Spear connected, but it is going to get interrupted by the kick from the DK. So yeah, DK great for siege damage, really not that great for killing enemy heroes. That's why you see them just playing back, using this big health bar to tank a little bit, spraying the fire breath out, and really not letting ProBUs engage. You can see them looking for it. They're doing the wiggles of, we want to team fight, we just need to get the right little position, and then we're going to go. Muffin trying to get some good damage with the DK, Silver trying to find a throw onto 8-Bit, 8-Bit not letting him get that throw, and on the whole, not a very impactful DK. You see this on Volskaya sometimes, where teams are like, yeah, we won the Triglav, but now we're walking, 3v into a 5-man enemy team, and they just kind of walk around impotently with this great siege damage tool, but it would make them lose team fights, so not able to actually find anything. Big stun coming out from Sage onto Liddell. We do have the D-Shield coming out, probably used a little bit premature there. Big damage coming out and finding 8-Bit. Sage is going to be the next to fall, as well as Irby's going to fall. They do have the redemption, so Irby will be coming back, and he needs to get into a safe enough position to do so. And John Bunyan trying to run away has got that extra move speed, is able to disengage out with that stealth a little bit farther. John Bunyan leading them on a merry chase, will not survive. I guarantee you that. But it is allowing for a little bit of extra time opportunity. Put some nice damage into Liddell. That was okay. So 3 kills to 0 in favor of under Newb management. John Bunyan running around that much took about 20 seconds of time off of getting the Anubarak and Sonya back up. And I think that's the only reason that under Newb management are just running under bottom keep and trying to end the game right now. They almost certainly still get the bottom keep, but they probably don't get the game. The core on this on this map is a raid boss with that massive stun that it puts out onto a big area. It does damage as well, but it's really just a big stun. Not much more to say about that, other than hey, did you notice that they added a coloration effect to it that actually makes it look make people look petrified? It's pretty neat. Go for calling the GG in the chat way early. Nope. Under Newb management, a little bit too scared to just dive under that bottom keep, and then go straight under the core after that. So the game will continue, and all members are up for both sides. It's a rough spot for ProBUs, but it's certainly not an unwinnable one. Blizzard, please color coordinate these globes in some way, I beg of you. Under Newb management are going to get the initial channel into the top lane, and Vala is going to be just vaulting all over everywhere to get those Q resets and take that much quicker than they were able to do so previously. Bottom is going to go over in favor of ProBUs, and now it is kind of just a stalemate on the map. Both teams are going to be sharking around, jockeying for position, looking to try and catch their opponents out, find an advantage, and use that to close out the game. A 20-plus minute DK is strong enough that with even a little bit of support, it can end the game. Silver is going to get the channel once again. ProBUs. I'm going to need to talk to you about these DKs. You need to stop your opponents from getting them. That's generally getting the DK is one of the win cons for this map, and you just let your opponents get it several times. It's not something that they can't make happen. As they get a nice engage behind with the Vala, who does get cocooned, but a huge belting roar coming out from Cleo is going to pull off a lot of that engagement, and 8-Bit is going to be the first to fall in this team fight. Sage is going to get Light Bomb comboed, and D-Shield's going to keep him alive for now. No Cataclysm to catch up anymore, and I don't think that there is necessarily a slowdown. Muffin coming in for a big engage, trying to find Sneaky Glades. Isn't able to do so, and the kick from the DK finding the kill. Irby is barely able to survive, however, Greymane was not. DK, it does spray the Fire Breath onto mid lane, but mostly it's just walking past into the bottom lane, and that should be game number 3 and the upset going over in favor of under Newb management. GG and well played. GG's coming out from 8-Bit as they know the writing is on the wall. Sage gets kicked out of there and almost got killed by Nexus forces. Liddell's trying to pad that KDA, but not quite able to find it. There it is. GG's coming out from both sides, and well played to under Newb management. Alrighty. Funny stats. Liddell coming in with the 40,000 healing, self-healing. They call it self-healing. It's healing Rexar, but it's healing Misha rather. But actually healing Misha for more than Uther healed the entire game, even if you include the self-healing in that. So really showing why Rexar is just so good on this map. Well played to both teams. And that's one thing that I kind of just love about this division this season. Game number 1, complete slobber knocker in favor of under Newb management. Game 2, complete slobber knocker in favor of ProBUs. Game 3, slightly more contested, but still pretty convincingly in favor of under Newb management. So both of these teams able to just wallop each other back and forth. And because of that, we see a lot of not dominated series, and even like teams at the top of the standings able to fall to you know, not the other top ranked teams. So look to see under Newb management sneaking their way up there in the Div A weekly standings next week. At the same time, Liddell writes them, so a little bit of bias there, but you know, we like to joke around. We love Liddell here. Alright, Liddell has indicated a desire to conduct an interview. I like doing interviews, so I'm going to hop over to lobby number 2, and we're just going to see who joins. See who joins. Like I said, the only thing I'm disappointed about in this series is we weren't able to get the perfectly symmetrical colorization. If ProBUs had one, it would be orange in the top right and blue on the bottom left, and I can't say no to that kind of symmetry. Welcome, Liddell, and congratulations on your 2-1 victory.
Oh man, oh god, I'm still shaking, but thank you.
Yeah, really, really well played coming out from. I felt both teams in this series played very well, and it definitely showed. I mentioned it already to the chat, but under Newb management kind of crushed game 1, ProBUs kind of crushed game 2, and under Newb management kind of crushed game 3. So how is it, do you think, that the Div A teams are able to just like wallop each other back and forth like that?
Yeah, I haven't put a ton of thought into it this season. I think that says that each team has like a certain like play style that if they get the scenario that they want, they roll. But then if like, you know, if that play style is countered or the map doesn't fit it, then it can change really quickly. Like the main thing we identified with ProBUs is a hyper aggressive team that loves the wombo combos off of like a Newb stuns and things like that. And game 2, when you saw that they kicked our ass, it was because they got the wombo combo and we didn't have a healer that could save a wombo combo. And I think that's, not to get ahead of myself and talk about game 2, but that's kind of like their win condition, and we gave it to them in draft without countering it at all.
I guess related question, is that why Maiev was banned out all 3 games?
Yeah, it's also it's a mix of like we want to take away the meme, get them on something normal, get Muffin on as something as normal as possible. But also, she just got buffed this week, and I haven't seen a lot of Maya, so I don't know how much more impactful she is, and I don't really know her talents well enough to really like be brave enough to like test that out in an NGS game, if that's fair.
Oh, that's absolutely fair. I think for the most part, the talents that got buffed were the not very often chosen ones, which seems to be something that Blizzard just loves doing recently. But
Right.
The extra jump on level 20 seems ridiculous.
Yeah, because from the little Maya I have played, her level 20s are lackluster. So that having that power spike extra, I can imagine being very annoying to play against.
Yeah, Vault only has something like a 12-second cooldown, and getting 2 of them for something that gives you untargetable while not restricting your movement is just ridiculous. How do you overkill a hero like that?
Yeah, especially on a player like Muffin, in a player like Muffin's hands. That's not something we want to experiment with, for sure.
Yeah. Muffin is one of the scariest players, in my opinion, in the division.
For sure.
He can play all of the normal things very proficiently, but he can also play some completely wild, off-the-wall things. And he'll make you play his game.
Yeah, for sure.
So you had map pick for Game 1 and Game 2. If you don't mind my asking, and without giving too much away, why Cursed Hollow and why Volskaya?
Cursed Hollow is... We just didn't see any games on it on their side. It's not our strongest map. I would say it's like a bottom 4 map, but to be honest, it was just like maybe we get them off their comfort zone a little bit. We played around a little bit with ETC and his buffs, so we liked that. And yeah, and I think obviously picks are scary on Cursed Hollow, but at the same time, you can't really ignore lanes. You can't ignore camps pushing in lanes. So you do have a lot of visibility at times of where people are at. So we just kind of wanted to get a situation where they might not be comfortable, and I think that kind of worked out. I don't know how comfortable they are or not on Cursed Hollow, but that was kind of the bet there.
I don't explicitly know how comfortable they are on that map, but it's kind of the feel I got that under new management we're more prepared to play that map. You're just a little bit faster on your rotations, a little bit crisper on checking bushes and getting ganks, and it just felt like you were playing better on that map.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a work in progress, but we also went back to the old Tiny Dances classic when me and Silver were on Tiny Dances and picked the double tank, which we became infamous for. So it was kind of a return back to our roots, you could say.
Yeah, definitely did not play out that way on game number 2.
No.
I actually like the draft on the whole. I think Decker's good on the map. Kel'Thas, I think, is just generically pretty good. Gazlo just got nerfed because he's apparently been really good. The ETC worked very well in game 1, and in a lot of ways, Zul'jin makes a lot of sense to me on the map. It's a map that goes late. It's a map with a heroic vehicle for an objective for him to stack on. So on paper, everything looked like it was going to go great for you guys, but then it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple lessons. I will also say we were planning some interesting stuff that I'm not going to give away, but it kind of got foiled by some of the ways they took their draft, and we kind of went for like a standard Volskaya draft, if that makes sense. Like, draft the meta of the map, which I think ended up hurting us in the end. But honestly, we fell behind, and they are so good. ProBUs is so good at pushing the pressure, capitalizing on every single kill that you give up. And I think, to be honest, we were a little cocky after game 1. it was like we played so tense and so scared all game one, knowing the better team, the high in the standings, the number one in my power rankings and everything. And then game two, it was kind of like that. Oh, we can hang with these guys. And it's like, oh no, we can't. We need to be as serious and like as stern and as scared as we were game one. Not scared, cautious, I should say.
Yeah.
As we were game one, and we weren't. And it kind of just got away with us. So I don't even know if that comp works. On paper, it works. But we just had no real chance to get back in that game.
I do have to apologize for my lack of casting proficiency. After the pause in game number 2, I put us on the between game screens and stayed there until the game ended on accident. So
well, we lost that game. So
a little bit of radio cast at the end there.
I personally am fine with nobody seeing how we lost. So, I mean, you helped us. You didn't help the viewers, but it's okay on my part.
Yeah. And then going into game number 3, and it feels like for all 3 games, really whichever team got the early tempo advantage just kind of continued to win for the entire game. And we saw that play out in all 3 games, and that certainly happened here. I think it was maybe the most back and forth of the 3, but it was, I would say, still pretty decidedly in your team's favor. And my gosh, how does anyone let Silver ever play Garrosh? That looks so scary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to... He used to be the tank main. We've switched things up a little bit, coming from Tiny Dancers, but that was back in the day an insta-ban against him every time.
I see why.
It's decreased a bit because we've been throwing the tank roll back and forth a little bit this season. And his Garrosh is a lot better than mine, so I can see why people wouldn't be scared of mine. But I think having that back pocket, either of us can play tank, both of us can play tank, is one of our strong suits come the draft.
Absolutely. Having not just flexibility within roles, but having the flexibility to flex between roles is very strong, especially if you are known for that. Because you could just, like, have you pick up a tank, all the while planning for Silver to be the one actually tanking, but it means that the team maybe thinks, oh, then we don't have to respect this other scary pick that they could have, but then you can just swap into it later.
Yeah, it kind of happened game 1, where I believe we picked the Varian last. So they picked the Zero tool thinking it's just an ETC, and some bruiser who is less CC than Varian.
Yeah.
And then the taunt variant came out, and early game, he couldn't do anything. He had to wait till late game, waited enough buttons to keep jumping away from me or whatever. But early game, the Zeratul just doesn't have enough buttons to get away from a taunt and a stage dive.
I think in game number 2, pretty much everyone, except for Alan by default, swapped heroes in draft.
Yeah. That was also a bit of a byproduct of all the things we had planned that we pivoted out of, and then we were like, okay, everyone back to the normal role, okay, kind of thing.
I don't know if I'll end up casting whatever game you do pull spicy things out for, so I'll have to keep an eye on Stats of the Storm for any weird hero or composition picks coming up from y'all.
All right, sounds like a plan.
But that pretty much does it for me, at least as far as questions involving the actual match. Have you already had your match versus Cat Daddies?
Yes, we got 2-0'd.
Okay. Well, it must feel pretty good then to, be able to take a crack at the other, one of the other like really top teams, like Cat Daddies, ProBUs, and Tactical Feed, pretty head and shoulders above everyone else, at least before this week. So, once again, big congrats at knocking them down a peg.
Yeah, it's they haven't lost a map since week 2. So ProBUs was on a huge roll. Really, like, honestly, the way our schedule worked out, until we played Cat Daddies, we hadn't faced a top 4 team yet. So it's hard to gauge how good you are, how comfortable you are going to go into playoffs when you haven't played one yet. And then we get dominated by Cat Daddies, so it's definitely a big relief to be able to take games off of one of the top 3 teams, and know that there's potential come playoffs. That you could do an upset in some way.
So, a little bit of an inside scoop question. How do you think this is going to play out in the power rankings for next week, huh?
If anyone's been reading every week, we haven't. Under new management has been at 5 every single week. That's probably going to stay the same. But I think ProBUs might move down to 2nd based on the fact that they drop maps and Tactical Feed's been really hot. And if Tactical Feed dominates this week, I think it's hard to argue that they're not going to be first.
You heard it here, folks. ProBUs are washed and definitely not going to be a playoff contender.
Yeah. I encourage all type of hyperbolic statements from my power rankings. I welcome it.
Good. Definitely know that there's no hard feelings for the chat in Div A earlier. Someone mentioned that they thought it was surprising that I picked up a cast after that, but I mean, water off the duck's back.
Oh, well, I mean, I always take it as good banter. I should always be said that I never take NGS so seriously that I'm actually going to get mad or anything, unless someone does something personal, who crosses a line that way.
Yeah.
But we're just talking about games and stuff like that, I've always going back to last season, Roomba rotations, they're now PRX. We would go at it all season. They made fun of us a ton for beating us with a triple stealth comp that became famous. So like, I'm used to getting my licks, and I like to give it back. So it's just part of the NGS fun for me.
Absolutely. The only person I ever get mad at is myself, and that's because I'm just terrible.
I could feel they're going to tank this season, and just dying and being like, "I cost us the game." Well, that's fun.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At the Division A level, any mistake late enough in the game by even just one player can be enough to end the game, just because teams are good enough to identify, we killed one hero and we have level 20, let's just go win. So it can feel real bad when you're the one that makes that mistake.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, so that is, I believe, the interview. So I'm going to give it on over to you for any shoutouts that you want to give.
Alright, shout for my team, as always. I'm going to give the MVP to Taylor and Alan today. It's a dual MVP, just because they both played Lights Out Game 3. And then shout out to you for casting, and shout out to ProBUs for being worthy opponents, and 8-Bit for being an active member in the Div A chat all season, which is always welcome. I like a lively Div chat, so those are my shout outs for today.
Awesome. Thank you for coming in for this interview, and congrats on your 2-1 victory.
All right. Thanks, Hector.
Yep. Have a good night. All right. Back in the casting bunker. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. It's always more fun to have a very active chat going. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll have them nailed out before the next cast on my channel. Thank you, Irby, for the ridiculous sub bomb. I definitely